So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminski Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What is shaking, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. Man, do I have an amazing guest for us today. Today's episode is going to be talking about resetting your mindset to achieve ultimate success. What success means to you could be very different than what it means to me. There's no right or wrong answer here, but today's guest is an absolute beautiful soul who I met on Clubhouse not too long ago in my abundance room that I co-host with Nick Champagne. I don't know if you guys have been in this room yet, but every morning, 7:10 a.m. Eastern on the weekdays and 8:10 a.m. Eastern on the weekends, we are there every single day consistently. And this beautiful soul keeps showing up. We can't get rid of her. We can't get rid of her.
Don't even try. Don't even try. You'll get nowhere with me.
I love it. So I want everybody to meet Donna Simantov. She came into our room and she came up to stage and she just let it out one day, and it rattled my cage so hard that I said, Donna, you got to come on my show because there are other people that need to hear your voice and the power that you deliver in the words that you speak. So, Donna, I want to spend a couple of minutes on allowing you to introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us what we do and how you got into the field of work that you actually practice now.
Thank you so much, Henry. So yeah, I'm so grateful that I got a chance to meet you. You're one of those people that came into my life and gave me the opportunity to spread a certain message that I've been really desperately trying to spread. And so what you did is invaluable and it means the world to me. So thank you for that.
Thanks for coming.
I have been an educator for over 2 decades now. I've taught special education, regular education. I've taught public schools and private schools. I've taught children from all walks of life. Somehow through that, I connected so strongly with students and their struggles, both personal and academic, that it connected me closer to their families. And I ended up almost becoming an unofficial life coach to their parents or grandparents, depending who they lived with. And through that, I started doing it privately and giving counseling to individuals, to couples, marriage counseling, counseling for, you name it. There was no specifics. It was anything goes. Then someone asked me, would you start giving seminars? There's a need for seminars on faith. There's a need for a seminar on marriage and intimacy. People are struggling. And without even any hesitation, I said yes. I knew it was my calling. I felt it deep within my soul. And I started doing that. And I saw that I have a knack for not just public speaking, but delivering a message in a way that resonates and connects with anyone and everyone. And then I decided, you know what, maybe I'll start a podcast because I need to get this message out on a broader scale. But now let's keep in mind that I'm a mother and a wife, and I've got 4 kids of my own and a full-time job. And so I'm doing all of this, and I'm so grateful that I can. But that's why I'm so grateful to someone like you who comes along and gives me an opportunity to get the word out and accelerate that process, because my goal in a nutshell is to give people back their life. And what's the price on that? I don't know, but I feel like so many of us are walking around with blindfolds on. We see, but we're not really seeing. We hear, but we're not really hearing, and we're numb. We've become numb to life. And so my goal is to give people back their life by making them realize that it's all within themselves. They don't need to continuously reach for the stars and seek elsewhere, because that's what we're all doing. We're seeking it elsewhere. So what I have figured out, I have this very unique position because I work with children during the day and I work with adults in the evenings. So I'm really running the full gamut of ages, and shockingly, and yet not shockingly at all, everyone's struggles are the same. We're all just seeking validation, and we're all just seeking someone to finally see our souls and give us the permission to be ourselves.
That's beautiful. Was there a compelling event that happened in your life where you said, this is my calling? You had mentioned that before, like, I found my calling. Not a lot of people are able to do that. Some people go years, if not, they get into their 60s and 70s and they still don't know why they're here. Was there something that happened specifically in your life where you said, this is what I need to do? This is what I've been put on this earth to do. Was there anything specific there?
So, it was my birthday a few weeks ago and I turned 43.
Happy
So
birthday.
thank you. So for me, it was also a work in progress. It wasn't like I was 19 and I knew my calling like some people do. It took me 43 years. Well, not 43, but 40. Turning 40 was pivotal for me and figuring it all out. I think it wasn't one isolated incident. It was many different incidents. But I had not too long ago, actually, a student of mine that I taught over 20 years ago in public school, a young Asian boy. He was my student my very first year of teaching. I was fresh out of college. I was 20 years old. I had never stepped foot in a classroom, and I had been his teacher. Not too long ago, this incredible, successful doctor reaches out to me on Instagram. Are you Mrs. Simantov that taught in, and he tells me the name of the school and the location, and I said, yeah. He said, it's me. That's me. I'm your student. And then he went on to tell me that my impact on him was so significant that it gave him the confidence and the faith to believe that he had what it took to become a doctor. And now he's a doctor. Now, I'm not saying this because I am, unique in the sense that I've made an impression on someone, but pieces of things in my life that have happened that have given me this realization that if you connect with another human, if you make them feel understood, if you give them a sense of, I believe in you, I know you can, and that's what I do, you're changing the world. And so there have been many incidents in my life like this, where people have reached out to me and said, you may not know this. You know what's interesting, because you brought up Clubhouse? Do you know that happened just this morning? I was driving to work, and I had a few minutes. So, of course, what did I turn on? Clubhouse. And I'm in a room just in the audience. I didn't plan on sharing. I was just listening. And a girl gets up. It was all about gratitude. And she gets up and she says, I was in a room a few days ago and there was a woman named Donna. So, of course, I piped up thinking maybe it was me. There are other Donnas, but you never know. And she went on to tell what I had spoken about in terms of how to deal with insecurity and how to deal with gaining confidence. She said, I heard her speak. And ever since she spoke, I've been believing in myself more. Now, again, this is not to pat my own shoulder, but you hear these things enough and you got to tap into what makes you great. You know what, Henry? I feel like we go through life. We're so quick to talk about all the ways that we're deficient. I know how I'm not good enough. I know how I'm not smart enough. I know how I'm not pretty enough. I know how I'm not thin enough. I know how I'm not successful enough. We could list our negative traits by heart. But if you stop someone and you say, how are you great? They're like stunned. They're like, I'm not, or I don't know. And so for me, I got to that point where I said, I need to be able to embrace the gifts that I'm given and realize I'm to maximum capacity to help people. I'm not going to just hide it and pretend like, humble. Like, I've got something. It was given to me by the universe. I'm grateful for it. And I want to utilize it and help people because so many people are suffering.
Yeah, I connect with that on many, many levels. For those folks that listen to the show and watch me for some time, you know that I believe very much in that, and finding that while we're still here physically is very, very important to me. And I could tell it's very, very important to you. So I want to dive into talking about resetting your mindset, especially after the year we just had, right?
Yeah.
To achieve ultimate success in your life, whatever that looks like, right after this quick little message. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesignz with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. All right, so we're going to dive back in here, okay? And we're going to be talking about resetting your mindset to achieve ultimate success. We already got some great comments here from our friend Joshua Easter. He is here like every single podcast, every single live stream. Love you, dude. He was quoting you. Everyone's struggles are the same, seeking validation and permission to be themselves, right? Donna. He also said, you got to tap into what makes us great. And then Bob over here says the voice of the imposter. So I want to encourage everybody that is watching this live to jump in, ask questions, and really create a dialogue here for us. And I'll make sure that I feature you and ask the question to Donna while we go through the episode live. So I encourage that to everybody that is watching. So let's dive into some of the things that people can do to help themselves sort of reset their mindset. Because I come from a very insecure past. I was very, very insecure growing up due to many, many reasons that, I share freely and openly because I feel like if it can help somebody else get through that easier or feel like they're not alone with going through that similar moment or experience that I had, I'm helping somebody today, right? And as you can see, Donna, today was a very deep conversation and on Clubhouse in our room, and we helped a lot of people today. And so I want to ask you, where does one start? Because it's tough to kind of get that self-awareness.
When we get hurt in life, we get injured, and often in life we have a scar that does not heal. Sometimes we have wounds that heal. They go away. Child gets a boo-boo, you put on a Band-Aid and they heal and they're okay. But sometimes the wound is too deep and the scar lasts forever. And there's a reason for that. Some scars were meant to last forever because we're meant to be reminded. We're not meant to forget. Sometimes things happen to us both physically and emotionally in our past that are deep. They're not going to heal completely. They're not going to go away because they're not meant to. Because those things that happen to you, to me, to everyone, are part of what makes us the person that we were designed to be. Without that trauma, without that pain, we wouldn't have evolved into the person we currently are. So to say, I wish I could go back and eliminate all of the pain. I want to erase those 2 years, or I want to erase that chapter, or I want to erase that experience. Well, then you're erasing yourself off of planet Earth. You will no longer exist because you are a culmination of everything that's ever happened to you. Every pain, every wound. And when you look at those scars, whether they're visible or they're in your mind's eye, it's meant to remind you of your strength, of your perseverance, of what you have gone through and overcome, and of what now you and only you are capable of passing on to someone else, uniquely your own. That's what it is. And what we do is we waste so much time regretting the past, being consumed by the pain of the past. That's not what it's meant to do. We're meant to look at the scar every now and again and say, okay, I got this. And I'm glad it's there. I'm glad it's there. Stop wishing it away. It's why you're sitting here right now. It's why I'm sitting here right now. And here's another thing. No one gets away unscathed. Let's stop deluding ourselves and deceiving ourselves. Oh, everyone's got it better than me. Oh, I see someone's profile, so they must have a great life. Oh, their marriage seems great. They must be thrilled. Oh, their kids are so successful. They must be fantastic parents. Oh, their bank account is full. They must be fulfilled. Oh, they've got that degree and that PhD. They must feel the ultimate joy. Wrong, 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 wrong. If giving seminars and teaching for 20 years has taught me nothing else, it has taught me that we are all more alike than we are different. We are all humans, and we all possess our share of pain, and we all have our skeletons in the closet. Some of us hide it better than others. Some of us are not comfortable to talk about it. We haven't gotten there yet, but we're all the same. So we have to stop fooling ourselves because that's such a detriment to our growth. I am no better than you, and you are no better than me. We are all just pieces of humanity struggling, trying day by day, moment by moment, because life is not easy. And that's why my quest and my goal is to let people know that inner peace and, tranquility, while it's not going to be everlasting, unless you're on something, it's achievable. And the only three people you need to achieve it are me, myself, and I. That's it. Me, myself, and I. If you have those three people rooting for you, you've got the world.
Wow. You got me. I got a little lump in my throat here. I honestly, woo, that was powerful stuff. That was very powerful stuff. Joshua here has said, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if not for the pain on the path life has taken me. It wouldn't be me. And Bob said, comparing myself to others sets me up for resentment. It's not the right way to measure my progress. So true. So true. I appreciate you guys for sharing. This is powerful stuff, and it's a great contribution to this episode. Man, this is, where do we go from here? When something that you said just wailed me in the face. You said if we were to erase all the bad things that happened in our past, then we would be gone. Like we wouldn't be where we're at. We would be erased, which is interesting because I don't know if you were there or not. There was somebody in Clubhouse today that wanted to show some respect to me and said, can we all please take 10 seconds and help Henry erase that horrible trauma that he went through, and everybody did it. But then there was a woman, Mary, that came up and said, I love you, Zane, for everything that you do and you contribute. But she said, I wouldn't want Henry to erase that trauma because it's gonna, and I encourage him to actually talk about it more to help other people. And so for those folks that don't know what we're talking about, I'll just give you some context. And some of you guys know this already, some of you don't. But when I was 8 years old, I was sexually molested by a 15-year-old boy. And that left a lot of trauma, long-term, very deep. Donna talks about scars. We're talking about deep stuff here that I suppressed for many, many years. And it wasn't until really my son was born that things started to resurrect, because as I said on Clubhouse, God forgive me if my boy ever had to go through what I went through and I found out who it was. And so this led to so many other people coming out and telling the world that it happened to them too. And it's crazy how many people came out of the woodwork today and shared that. And I've been able to, it's getting easier for me to share because I've done it more than once. But some people, for the first time in 20, 30 years, they came out and they shared that with strangers, complete strangers. And we were all there to embrace. That's why I love about this room. It's a safe place. You're able to do that, and nobody's judging, and everybody's there to love and care and to support and lift you up. And it was tough for me because I started to get really emotional when I saw the other people coming out of the woodwork, and that was tough. That was really tough for me to see, and I felt for them because they went years like I did, burying it. And it would show up in different ways and in odd ways. And then I finally had to address it. And you know how I addressed it? I spoke up about it. And it really helped me physically, mentally, but now it's helping tons of other people. And I just love that you said what you said just now, because it's so powerful. People just push and push and push. And what you said before, everybody's walking around with blindfolders. The first thing that comes to mind is everybody's walking around like zombies. And they have this beautiful gift called life, and they're not doing anything with it. So I'll shut up now. What are your thoughts?
So many things, but first and foremost, just recognize that, you brushed over it very quickly. Like, oh, I spoke up today on Clubhouse. Like, that's award winning. That's that deserves a standing ovation. That's the Academy Award. You took something painful, you took something that's shameful to you, and you broadcasted it, and you have no idea the impact it made. I mean, you know that people responded and came out of the woodwork and started addressing their own pain, but you don't know the countless others that didn't, that understood maybe for the first time in their life that you could be a success story even though you've gone through a trauma, that you could achieve great heights, that you could be a daddy one day even though you've been in so much pain. You've said so many things that you didn't even have to articulate, just through the idea that you humbled yourself enough to be honest. If everybody was just a bit more honest like that, we would stop being so competitive with each other. We would stop feeling envy toward one another. It's all a facade. We just don't all we're not all wearing our heart on our sleeve the way you did this morning. And so I commend you for that. That is, you've done something that you may not ever reap the reward, but you should have the internal reward inside of you, knowing that that's why you don't want to erase your past, because you were created with a mission. And part of that mission is to help people who are going through something similar to what you went through, because only you can do that. I can't do that. I could have wisdom about life and wisdom about relationships, and I can preach, but you've been through something. And when you speak, that little boy who's going through it now and hears you, for the first time in his life, is feeling validated. And that's priceless, absolutely priceless.
It's powerful. We got some stuff here. You know, Joshua says, your mess is your message. I truly believe that. There is power in speaking out, shining light on your scars. And Facebook user, I don't know who this is, so let me know in the comments who this is, and I'll represent you next time. But by sharing, it gives others permission to share too, and that's the key. Yeah, that's the key.
And I'll tell you something else, Henry. Something else that came into my mind while you were speaking was that we're so afraid of judgment of others. It's probably the biggest inhibiting factor in most people's lives. It's what prevents us from speaking our truth. It's what prevents us from taking chances, putting ourselves out there, because we're so afraid of others' judgment. And here's the honest and brutal truth. We are our own worst critic. No one else could pass worse judgment on us than we do to our own selves. And that's the shock that nobody seems to understand. We're so afraid that we're going to make a fool out of ourselves. Someone's going to laugh at me. Someone's not going to like me. When most of us walk around not liking ourselves, laughing at ourselves, discouraging ourselves, preventing ourselves, inhibiting ourselves. If we just started liking ourselves and accepting ourselves and rooting ourselves on, we would care way less about everyone else's reaction.
You know, it's funny you say that. I have a mentor that I meet with, you know, every other month. And I was very, very hard on myself in the past. I mean, very, very hard. Just completely disrespectful to myself. I would hit myself. I would say nasty things about myself. And I said this once to my mentor, and he said, Henry, you have a little boy that you look at every day. You know, he's this beautiful little guy that runs around here. He said, would you ever say those words to him? And I said, no. So he said, why would you say them to yourself? And that rewired and reset that abuse, self-abuse, I guess it's called, right? Verbal self-abuse.
If it's not called that, let's coin it right now. That's a great term.
Verbal self-abuse. Yep. Yeah. And when he put it in that perspective, that was it. That was the end of me saying those things to myself. And I went on, and now it's okay. Now, when things don't go the way I want, I laugh. It's a completely different. We had so many technical difficulties when we were starting the StreamYard stuff, and we were live streaming this stuff, where it was like Murphy's Law, right? And I just laughed, and it was funny because it was live, and as much as I could be embarrassed, I wasn't. I was like, guys, this is what happens when you try new things. You mess up, right? So keeping that stuff. But you mentioned judgment, and I wanted to talk about that for a second, because one of my buddies had said something to me um, recently when I was telling him this story about what I just spoke about, and I was telling him how I would go to school with dirty clothes, and I had family members, saying that I looked homeless because of the clothes that I wore, and that 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 created such insecurities in my head for many, many, many years after, right? And there's scars that we all have, right? But now my life looks a lot brighter, right? Especially from the outside. If you don't know who I am, you see the cars, you see the house, you see the family, you see the Instagram stuff with, right? And that's not always, it's not every day that our family, you want to be here when me and my wife go at it, like, right? It's not fun, right? It's not fun. You laugh, but it's not always, peaches and cream.
No, it's not for anyone.
The point that I want to make is be careful how you judge people on the surface.
Yes.
Because have you even known what I've went through or what that person went through? And that's when my best friend, Jerry, if you're watching this is for you, dude. You had said to me, people just see the stuff. They don't understand the underneath. You need to come out and start talking about that more, because then they'll get a better understanding. And it was him. He was part of that encouragement. And I started just coming out and sharing, and people see. And to wrap this all together, that this is your brand. Whether you own a business, whether you're a personal brand like Donna and I, this is your story. This is your brand. You can't hide this stuff. Eventually it's going to come out. And whose mouth do you want it to come out of? Somebody else's that you don't know, or your own? So again, this is all, we're talking about resetting our mindset, to achieve ultimate success. This is important stuff, because if you don't address this stuff, it's going to come back and bite you in it.
Yeah. And you know what else? I said this the other day, but I'm going to say it again because it needs to be said. Stop waiting for some kind of pivotal thing to happen to say, okay, now I've got a story to tell. I had a near-death experience. Now I have something important to say. You always see all these big gurus who are these big speakers, and this one went through this abuse, and this one had a near-death experience, and not to undermine any of it.
Right.
But so many people shy away from exposing their own truth because they think, I don't have a big life. I don't have a near-death experience. Or I want to tell everybody listening right now that your life story is your story to tell. And if you stop for a moment and you examine your life story, you will unlock incredible masterpieces, chapter upon chapter, word upon word of stories, of truths, of real raw emotion, of things you've been through, things you've learned. Listen, I've been married for 20 years. In 20 years of being married to the same man, I could write a novel. Raising 4 children, I have what to share. Educating for 20 years, dealing with all adults from all different walks of life. Listen, Henry, everybody could share their story. But you have to first recognize that you have a story to share, and stop pretending that you are just some no one. You're just a regular guy. You got nothing to say. You haven't really experienced much. You're lying to yourself, and you got to be honest with yourself. You got to look in the mirror and say, you know what, Donna? You've got what to say. Start saying it. And whoever wants to listen, come right along. And whoever doesn't want to listen, that's quite all right. The world is big enough. I don't need everyone to be my number one fan. But I'm not going to allow my own inhibition to hold me back any longer. This is my one chance at life. And I'm not going to waste another minute of it waiting for some unknown, waiting for some future goal, waiting for some hope and dream. Right now, in this moment, this is it.
Oh, that's powerful. That's powerful. Anna, this is Anna Moss. I love Anna. Anna, I met again on Clubhouse, another beautiful soul I met on Clubhouse, but she says, I've been learning this from you, mindset, start believing in yourself more. Oh, I appreciate that, Anna. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's where it begins. The business is, it's an inside out game. When you work on yourself, your business will reap the benefits as well. I can promise you that. I'm a walking testament of that. So what you just said was so powerful. I just want to ask you one more question. I can't believe time just went 30 minutes went like that, right? We could talk about this forever, and you're going to come back on. You and I are going to do a live stream that we have a longer format. I usually go a little bit longer, 45 minutes to an hour with those. And we're going to come back soon and we're going to go deeper into this stuff, because I feel like this is the stuff that really, really levels people up, and they go on to build brands and businesses that they never thought they could, because this is the foundational stuff that needs to be taken care of first. So my last question for you before we tell everybody where they can learn more about you is, what about the future are you most excited about?
That's a really good question. What about the future am I most excited about? You know what? I'm most excited about the unknown. I'm not most excited about anything concrete, because something concrete is just not as exciting as the unknown. And something about not knowing what's coming and waking up every day feeling like today might be the day. Today might be the day. Today my world can change. Today I can change someone's world. That's magnificent. That's beautiful. And that's the way God had created us and intended it to be. We're not intended to know what's coming. And so if we embrace the fact that it's unknown, not just the good, the bad, and the ugly is all unknown, and it's all lies ahead of us. And we just got to embrace it and be excited about it. Because again, that's what being alive means. It means not just that I'm living and breathing, but I'm alive. I'm open to the idea that I cannot control, but I'm ready with faith, joy, and excitement to tackle whatever comes my way. And that excites me.
I love it.
Being on that roller coaster when it's dark in that tunnel and you don't know when the turn is going to come, that thrill is the thrill of life. Because if you know what's coming, it's good, but it's not as good.
Exactly. Imagine if you knew what to expect every single day, and it just showed up, and there was no uncertainty in life at all. How boring would life be? How boring would it be? Right? I think about that a lot. I'm going a little over here because this comment from Anna popped up, and I want you to address it, Donna. I'm not going to say anything about it, because I think your words are going to be powerful. Anna says, sharing feels so uncomfortable for me. It feels to me as if I'm trying to trade on it.
Anna, thank you so much for that. First of all, I commend you, because even admitting to something that's scary for you, you're already steps ahead of most people who are not even in touch with what makes them scared. So I commend you for that. Listen, sharing is never easy because it makes us vulnerable. When you share a truth about yourself, you're opening yourself up to judgment. You're opening yourself up to somebody having an opinion about you, or somebody questioning your motives, or putting you on the hot seat, or any which way that's uncomfortable. But I want to tell you something. That discomfort won't last very long. You got to get your feet wet. You got to start sharing slowly but surely. And it is very scary the first few times for everyone, even for the biggest. It's scary for Tony Robbins. It's scary for the biggest celebrity, for the most magnificent, confident human being that you think, it's so easy. No, it's not. It's scary. But the more you expose yourself and the more you wear your heart on your sleeve and you say, this is me, take it or leave it, it is freeing in a way that I cannot explain until you experience it. And I will tell you something else. The longer you hold on, the longer you lock yourself up, the longer you hide yourself and conceal yourself, the lonelier it feels. You think you're protecting yourself, but ironically, you're not. Ironically, you're harming yourself. And in time, you're going to feel very, very lonely. But if you allow yourself, even in baby steps, even in a comfortable situation, maybe at first it's with a few trusted friends. Maybe at first it's in a room like Clubhouse where it's complete strangers. There's no right or wrong, but you got to jump into the pool at some point and say, you know what? I got one chance at life. I got one chance at life. And this is my life. I'm the one and only one like me. And I've got something to say. And you know what? I'm going to say it. As scary as it may be, I'm going to say it. And it's exhilarating. It's absolutely exhilarating. So I hope that you'll try it in some minute way and you'll share with me how it went.
Donna, what a beautiful end to a beautiful episode. And I just want to thank you for sharing that passion and that voice and that insight to me and to all of my audience. What a beautiful, it was just perfect timing that this episode was scheduled today. And this went down today at this time. It's no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences, right?
So, no.
Man, whew, this one was heavy, but I feel like the heavy ones give the most impact and people really walk away with some thinking to do.
Yes.
So Donna, thank you so much. Where can people learn more about you? Where do you want to go? Where do you want everybody to go from here? You got their attention.
All right. Well, definitely follow me on Instagram at Donna Simantov. And on there, you could see my bio and my profile and my website and my inspiration. That's really what I'm all about. I'm all about giving you good advice. Obviously, if someone's looking for more one-on-one, I do life coaching, and you could set up a session with me, of course, for anything under the sun, from marriage to faith to family to relationships, you name it. But yeah, that's the best way. If you just want to get on my Instagram page, and every day there's a dosage of, I do live stories, I do inspiration all the time. So I hope that you'll join me.
Donna, thanks so much again. What an awesome episode. What an awesome episode. You're not going anywhere. So we're going to wrap up, guys. Don't go anywhere, Donna. I just want to say thank you offline and talk to you real quick. Man, what a phenomenal show. Again, just take one piece of this show and do something with it and watch what happens to your life. And so these are the steps it takes to resetting your mindset to achieve ultimate success. So I wish you all a beautiful day. I love all of you. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you come over and hang out in the Facebook group, the Brand Doctors Hangout, and you share your biggest takeaway from this episode. Maybe it's in a Facebook post or a private message or a DM on Instagram. I want to know the feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly. I want to be able to help you as much as I can while I continue to do this show. So I'm always open to feedback, whether it's good or bad. So I want you to share it with me, because that's what's going to make this show better. That's what's going to make us all grow and level up. So have an amazing day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Thank you. God bless.